What's going on, man?
It's time for the smoothest, the realest podcast duel in all the land. We're keeping it real with the Big Boy Live podcast with your boy Professor. Mm, you don't need no 50 Shades of Grey for this one. It's Professor X.
Uh,
Yeah.
just call me
What's up?
Christian. Just call me Christian.
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. How you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Had a had a successful photography weekend in Farmersburg for the Easter egg hunt and Easter bunny and stuff.
I was gonna say you seem like you was pretty active this weekend. And with that being said, before we go any further, quick little shout out. Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you for tuning
Yeah,
in to the Easter podcast. I hope you guys had a great day today and enjoyed all the time in the world with your families and your loved ones.
but yeah, man. It was a pretty good weekend. The weather was nice, a little chilly, but hey, it was nice though. It's just funny how things kind of worked out. So I met this guy. What? But how it all started was this right here, man. So I met this guy. Gosh, I think last year, and we were just sitting there talking outside the Dollar General, and it was a good conversation. I told him I do photography too. And out of nowhere this year, this dude calls me up out of the blue and is asking, "Hey, if I'd be interested in doing some photography pictures, for Farmersburg for Easter Bunny, because he's gonna dress up as Easter Bunny and take pictures for the community and stuff." And I was like, "All right, cool, yeah, that sounds good." So I went down there and we talked and got everything lined out. And then, dude, it's crazy how things work out and things happen. So I got there on Saturday, so it was Friday and Saturday, and I guess one of the council members said, "Hey, their Easter Bunny bailed on them." So they asked him if he could man the Easter egg as far as Easter Bunny and stuff. So he looked at me and told me, "Hey, come on, you're going to be doing pictures for the whole Easter egg for Farmersburg." And Farmersburg's Easter egg kind of like one of the largest ones around.
Oh, hey,
So
there
I,
you go.
so I was out there doing pictures, man, out there at the Easter egg hunt. And I know a lot of them got posted on their Farmersburg website and stuff. And I've been getting requests. I made what I did with them in like a Google Drive or Cloud. I've been getting requests by a bunch of people that have access to it. So other than that, man, it's a pretty successful weekend. On the photography aspect of it at
Sounds
Terra
like
Jersey.
from
So
I'm sorry, what was that again?
said,
Sponsor drop. Go ahead, sponsor drop.
Terra Jersey Photography. Just let everybody know we do have a special going on for your seniors in high school out there or seniors in college. $175 for your photo shoot. That's with edits and free online storage. So check out Terra Jersey Photography on Facebook. So, how was your weekend?
Well, I did not make a name for myself that's going to last, throughout the business world, but I got to spend the weekend with my children. So it was a really good weekend, man. I did something that I told myself I was never going to do again. I set foot I sat foot inside of a Kingdom Hall. And
Oh,
for any listeners who do not know what a Kingdom Hall is, it's a place of worship. Um, that is, that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses call their place of worship. And I was raised very, very differently. Um, My ex-wife, however, herself was raised very, very differently. So when it comes to the background, as far as like a religious aspect goes, we've always tried to support our children from both fronts. Both parents, even though, we don't fully understand or we don't fully practice or support the other one's beliefs, we've always tried to encourage the children to, explore those, and make their own choices and everything like that. Well, Friday night happened to be the Easter service for them, and I got a I got a call earlier in the week, last week. Well, I guess this week still. Sorry. Um, I had spoke with my ex-wife, and she told me that she and the children would, really like if I would attend, and the kids were really, really excited about it, and they really wanted me to be there and everything like that. And everything just happened to work out. Um, we had Friday off of work this week, um, so I was able to go and I was able to be there, and I was able to be there to support my kids. And that was what led into my weekend, and it was pretty awesome. Even though I myself personally was uncomfortable as far as like what was being taught, I was happy and I was proud, and I actually looked at myself in a positive light, for the fact that I pushed all that aside so that I could be there for my kids, man. It was really awesome. It was really eye opening. I was really truly humbled to be able to be a part of that.
That's good, man. That's good. Sometimes you got to sacrifice, for your kids, even though you may not agree with the situation or what the situation may be. But as a parent, sometimes you got to look beyond that. That is your flesh and blood. You got to support them whatever they do, even though you may not agree with it. But as far as a parent, you have to support them.
Yeah, that's honestly, I've been guilty over the years of not always being that way. Unfortunately, I wish I could take some of the lessons I've learned in the last 2.5, 3 years. Actually, the last 4 years of my life. I wish I could take some of those lessons that I've learned and apply them earlier in my life whenever I was still at home with my kids. You know what I'm saying? I I just wish I had the opportunity to look at things from a different perspective. Because at that time you're raised a certain way, you're brought up to believe a certain way, this, that, and the other. It's hard sometimes to accept other people, other faiths, other beliefs, for just simply being who they are. And I think that's a rut that we all fall into. And I was really happy that for the first time in a really long time, I was able to step out of that rut, man. And I hope that it's a memory that my kids take with them for the rest of their life. Um,
Right. No, it will. It
I
will.
just hope that it made them happy, because at the end of the day, that's honestly the only thing I care about outside of you know my three. Don't get me wrong. I care about my friends, and I care about their families, and I care about their kids and everything like that. But outside of my three, there's nobody else I have to be really truly accountable to.
Right.
You know, thing we always try to hold like accountability standards based off of our friendships or who we associate with or what we've got going on around us, this, that, and the other. Whatever it is. But if we would just be, you know, directly committed to the people who are the most direct individuals in our lives, a lot of times, our relationships will be a lot better.
Right. A lot of times you gotta look at the big picture because sometimes you're so narrow minded with certain things that we forget the finer details. You know, and sometimes those finer details are what's really important. It's like how they have those like on certain documents and this they have the fine print. A lot of people don't read the fine print, but a lot of times that fine print is what you need to read read first.
Right. Isn't it hilarious that we use the phrase, we went through it like a fine tooth comb, or we went through it with a fine tooth comb, but half the time we won't admit that sometimes the comb that we use to go through it has a lot of broken tips and things on it, so we miss things
Oh yeah,
because we purposely don't want to deal with them.
exactly, exactly right. I mean, we're too busy trying to run from our situations, run from our problems instead of just facing it head on. It doesn't have to be a problem. It could be just any. It could be anything in life. I mean, if it's anything that feels uncomfortable to you, you tend to try to run from it or retreat from that situation because it's the easiest thing to do.
Well, since we're speaking in metaphorical euphemisms, can I just simply label what you just said? You need to step up and grab the bull by the horns.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's a damn. I'm sorry, that's a darn good point. I think you should elaborate on that for a minute.
Well, it's just well, I mean by that, it's like sometimes in life that you can leave a lot of loose ends, not because you don't want to tie those ends up. And if you go at full throttle, it's like you said, grab it by the horns. It may feel uncomfortable. It may hurt a little bit. It may throw you around. It may flip you around. But the thing about it is, you went at it. You went for it. And at the end of the day, you accomplished something. It may take you a couple of times. It may take you 2 or 3 times. But you eventually accomplish it. But the more you try to push it away and not try to deal with it head on and try to face the situation, the worse it's going to get. I mean, we go through this every single day. I mean, like seriously, we go through this every single day. We go through this with our job, through our families, our relationships. I mean, it's just our finances. I'm pretty sure people say that, I'll pay it next week. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to do that stuff, but it's just kind of the same way. You sit there and push things off instead of just taking care of it right then and there.
So you're talking about procrastination.
Exactly. That's procrastination. Procrastination is one of the number one things that kills your motivation.
I feel like I need to drop a line by Bobby Boucher's mom right now from The Waterboy.
Oh,
Procrastination is one of the many tools of the devil.
well, it's true. To make sure it's confusion. Sure, it's confusion. Comes some sort of fear. Some sort of doubt. There's just many tools of that negative power. Just for the listeners out there that may not believe in religious stuff, but a negative power, a negative spirit, a negative situation. But for listeners that aren't religious, there's so many different tools that the devil uses to try to hinder us and try to take us off our path. Then we just sometimes we fall through those cracks, and you just never know how deep that crack may go.
But for lack of a better term, though, what you're basically saying is we try to build a life out of chaos. And when it doesn't work because chaos is completely and totally around us all the time, we sit and look for reasons to stop trying, or we look for people to point the finger at, and we start playing the blame game, right?
Well, because it's easier. It's easier to throw. It's easier to throw your problems onto someone else, or throw problems on on their situation because you don't want to deal with it.
So I got a question for you then. Why is it we seem to thrive more out of chaos than we do out of any type of logical situations?
Because doing something logical is so sometimes can be easier than doing something that can be too easy. You know what I'm saying? It's like 1 + 1 is 2. That easy. But we rather do things the hard way or go around the situation to make things harder on ourselves when we don't really have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like all you gotta do is step over the creek. But no, you want to try to build a bridge over it. And all you gotta do is step over it. I mean, you don't have faith in the situation of trying to solve it. It's like when the that Bible story when was it Peter And Jesus was on the water, and Peter had doubt, and they had faith that he could walk on water. But as soon as he had that faith and that courage built up to walk on water, he walked on water. I mean, that's what we do in our daily lives. We know someone, we get so afraid to take on things, situations, that we rather just deal with the drama and deal with the toxicity because we're used to it. We're used to it, and we think that it feels right.
But isn't it curious though how many times we see, hear, read, you know, random people that we know that say, "Oh, I'm so tired of this. I'm no longer going to do this. I'm no longer going to subject myself to this. I'm no longer going to put up with this." And then we stand back and we watch them do it over and over and over again.
Right? Because they had no accountability for themselves. I mean, I do it. I do it myself.
I don't know.
I'm a,
I based off of accountability though. My thought process as far as that goes is I think sometimes you get used to a specific way of being treated. And when you're treated different than what you're used to, a lot of times you will do everything in your power you can to sabotage it, make it worse, or run away from it in general. You know what I mean?
right. It's like that misery. I like misery loves company phrase.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I think about it, it doesn't help that we're in a very toxic, negative world in the first place. So that just adds on it, you know. So
You
with
know,
that being,
I think that kind of goes into like friendships though. You know, I mean, because think about it. You and I both know this. We've been around for a little while now. You know, we've had lots of friends in our lifetime and everything like that. But think about the people who will look at you and say, "Hey, man, anything you're going through, you know, I'm here for you. I got you." And then half the time, whenever you hit them up when you're actually going through something, they're nowhere to be found. Be like, "Oh,
exactly,
hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through that. Hey, I got this going on right now. I will get back to you later."
exactly.
You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing shade on anybody else that has something going on in their life. I'm not sitting here saying that it makes you more or less of a friend, you know, because you got real life situations going on. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is we always tell one another that we're going to be here for one another, but when push comes to shove, the only people that we want to be here for is ourselves. Everybody else is secondary. As long as ourselves are taken care of, we don't really care about anything or anybody else. I mean, that's just truth. It's not. That's just the truth. We are very selfish by nature.
Well, you know what? It's just like the old saying. Some people say when someone's loved one dies, and oh, if you need anything, just let me know, and then they may check on you for the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month. But after that, you don't hear from them no more.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I mean, heck, I mean, I've done it. I'm pretty sure you've done it. I mean, we've all done it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just human nature. It's just like
Yeah,
for instance, how you what?
I'm guilty. You're right. I'm guilty of that as well. I get wrapped up within myself and within my life and what I have going on, and ultimately, because it's my stuff, it ultimately matters more than what somebody else is going through. I know it sucks. I don't mean to be that way, but man, that's just kind of how we're all hardwired, I believe. You know, look out for yourself first, and then everything else comes second. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that until it becomes one of those things where it's just literally all about you all the time. Other than that, you have to look out for yourself first. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to take care of you except for you.
That, exactly. It's like a perfect. That's like a double-edged sword. You know, you want to take care of yourself, make sure you take care of yourself too. But also then again too, it's kind of like if you take care of yourself too much and you're being too selfish and too conceited. Like no one knows. Sometimes you don't know that perfect balance. You don't know that balance. That's what life is about. It's about balance, man. I mean, it's just how it is. It's about balance.
But isn't that not the funniest thing of all? We talk about balance. We say we want balance. We say we seek peace and harmony and balance within our life, right?
Mhm.
Why do we do everything we can to sabotage it when we actually have it?
Because you don't, because you don't know how to appreciate what you got. I mean, think about it. You know, it's and think about it, it's culture. It's culture has taught us to just when we don't need when we got something that's old and dingy, we just throw it away, get something else. We don't appreciate the things. I mean, I seen a video on Facebook um, over there in Africa. This one of the churches, this church is closed for 2 years, right? For because of COVID and all that stuff. They finally opened their doors up.
Right.
Dude, people were screaming, happy, celebrating, rejoicing because they can go to church again. But here it is in America, we have that freedom, that ability to go to church every single Sunday, every single Wednesday, whatever it is. And sometimes we just choose to go because I don't feel like it today. It's because we take advantage. We don't take things serious enough. We don't take things that. I mean, it's just like with anything. I mean, we don't think of it as important as it really is because people in other places don't have that ability to have what we got.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. But I just think a lot of it kind of goes back to, you know, how you were brought up, what's part of your core beliefs, what you choose to be value in your life.
Right.
Some people choose the job. Some
Mm-hmm.
people choose the love of money. Some people choose to be a heartbreaker. Some people choose to, be a total nerd. Whatever your path is, whatever you choose, right? You get so wrapped up in one singular focus that you oftentimes forget to look at the bigger picture.
Right.
And that's the greatest problem that we suffer today is we don't always see the bigger picture of some of the things we're doing. We literally just look at it and go, you know what? I'm not promised tomorrow, which is right, which is fair. I'm going to live my life one day at a time, which is right, which is fair. But a lot of times with that type of view, it creates a tunnel vision to where you can't see things that are going on around you. Like people that live like that, like don't get me wrong, 100%, I'm there with you. Like I'm there with you. None of us are promised tomorrow. You could wake up dead tomorrow. I know
Mm-hmm.
what I meant that as kind of a morbid kind of joke, but you could wake up dead tomorrow. None of us are promised that, man. So
Right.
live your life one day at a time. There's not a problem with it. It's not like it was, 10, 15, 30 years ago where you planned for an extensive long-term future. Nowadays people are more realistic than what they've ever have been.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Exactly. I mean, it's true. I mean, back in the day, you kind of just it's been drilled into us that you go out, get out of school, you get a job, you get married, and you live to be 80 years old, 90 years old, and then you die. Well, these days now, you lucky know now. Sometimes lucky if you survive the 10, the 20, the 30. You know what I'm saying? People are dying younger and younger each day over malicious crimes or disease or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, it's just life is more threatening now than it was probably before.
Yeah, and I will go so far as to say this. There is a beauty way of thinking. Living your life literally one day at a time. There is a beauty in that because you know if you just take whatever each day has to offer you and you live it to the fullest, then, I personally think that's extremely successful. I think that is a very successful day as an individual. You know, however, there is something that's scary about that as well. Because it's like we're literally only planning for tomorrow. We're not planning for anything else. So what happens if, let's just say we have a lot of things going on in our world right now. Let's just say that all of a sudden Russia decides that they're going to launch nuclear weapons at the United States. Well, you live your life a day at a time. What are you going to do during a nuclear holocaust? If you manage to survive, how are you going to rebuild moving forward? Because do you just roll over and die, or do you continue to try to keep fighting? It's goes back to what you said, bro. It's just another double-edged sword.
All right. It's just like retirement and insurance and stuff. Like, I hate paying car insurance every single month because each month I'm throwing out $100, $200 a month and not even using it. But when I need to use it, it's there for you. So it's kind of like you're living life on a chance.
Right. I mean, it goes back to two things. We can throw a movie quote into it, and then we can throw an us quote into it. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Well, you and I live our life a quarter pounder at a time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just pretty much how it is.
Exactly.
I don't know if this quarter pounder that I'm eating is going to be the last thing I eat. I don't know if it's going to fully clog my arteries, and that's just going to be it. But I like the way it tastes, so
Right.
darn it, I'm just going to try to enjoy it while I can.
It's just like that comedian Gabriel Iglesias. He was talking about, if I'm living my life as like a day at a time, because I don't want to die knowing I got that one last taco. He goes
exactly,
and he's like, when I'm on the bed on the table and they're opening me up to do my autopsy, I want them to smell the tacos, the burritos, and the doctor say, "This guy lived a good life."
Yeah, exactly. And
I think that's what I think that what the problem is that we are so focused on someone else's visual happiness, then we lose vision lose a view of our own happiness. You know what I'm saying? Like accepting yourself. Like if
you're talking about always kind of trying to measure yourself compared to somebody else, right?
yeah, we do it every day. Sometimes you don't realize it. Oh, I wish I was 30 pounds smaller. Oh, I wish I was 50 pounds lighter. Oh, I wish I had this and that. Because such and such. I mean, you don't think about the situation you have and what you got now. I mean, number one, the main thing is you woke up in the morning. Be happy about that. Two, if you got a house, you got a house. You got a car, you got a car. If you have multiple cars, you have multiple cars. Like, so we're too busy trying to live someone else's life that we wish we could have, that we forget about the life that we have, that we are already blessed and wealthy.
You're talking about waking up, being happy, and being thankful for exactly what you have, and not wishing or wanting for something else. Oh, that's deep, bro. That's deep, bro. Because but literally, man, what are we literally geared towards every day of our life? From the time we enter into school, what are we taught? You have to chase this. You have to do this. You have to be better than the person that was there before you. And don't get me wrong, in certain situations, in certain circumstances, it is absolutely an applicable thing to say.
Right.
But telling someone to be unhappy with what, I'll just use you and I as an example, what our parents worked so hard to give us. You're telling us to be unhappy with what they worked so hard to give us. They gave us the best they could with what they had. You're telling us to be unhappy with it, and we should strive to be better, and we should teach our kids, do not settle for the life that we had. Well, I don't know about you, but I had a damn good life as a kid.
Right.
So, no, that's not the message I'm delivering to my kids. I don't know about you whenever you have them, but that's not me.
Let's think about it, though. No, society has institutionalized us so bad that we're not good enough to get enough here, we're good enough there. We need to do this to get there. That there's so many stipulations just to go. It's like those cell phone video games. You get to a level and you have to put money in there and get to another level because you can't. And but if you keep on doing it the old way, it takes you longer to get there. But if you pay $4.99, you get 100,000 bonus points to get you to this next level. It's just how it is. I mean,
right. But what they don't tell you is that $4.99 only covers the one level. If you want more, you got to pay more.
Exactly.
It's always about chasing the dollar. It's not about the fun of it anymore. It's about making money off of it. So things that started for you and I when we were kids, which don't get me wrong, I understand that those industries made a ton of money off of it. But something that started with one person's dream of sharing video games with the world turned into a corporate mogul monopoly. It's literally like Walmart in retail. It's the monopoly of the world. The same way with video games. And seeing as how most video games are played through mobile devices nowadays, I mean, for crying out loud, look at the console sales. Console sales have gone down. They've dwindled horrendously because you can get almost everything you want to play through your mobile telephone now.
That's true. I mean, you can literally play Call of Duty and Battlefield and all that stuff and Fortnite on your cell phone. Literally.
Well,
so, but yeah, I mean, it just made it. This things just that mobile device has made life some too easy and too accessible to where we don't even work for anything anymore. I mean, heck, I'm doing it now. I got app on my phone now where it's all it does is play music all the time, and I get points for it because I use that to make extra money. You know what I'm saying? But it's just true. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about it. But so far, I'm already almost made $100 this month. You know what I mean? But it's getting to a point where you're getting lazier and lazier and don't want to do the work no more. I mean, look at our industries now. Despite, everything is going robotic now. Get rid of the human error.
Yeah. Skynet, bro. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1992. 30 years later, we're seeing it happen.
I mean, like a lot of your places where you work at. I mean, especially where we work at. I mean, you got full lines now are just fully automated. All you do is have one person just take parts out, put parts in. That's it. The line does all the work.
Yep.
Because it saves money. Because those machines don't need to have insurance plan. Those machines don't need to have checkups. Those machines don't need to have pills and medication. They just need to get PM'd and maybe a sensor change here and there. But it's a lot cheaper to have those it's a lot cheaper to have those in the long run than it is to have a human employee.
Right. But you're talking about something that's just recently kind of come over to
Huh?
us. You're talking about something that has been in production for quite some time,
Oh yeah.
like these, like especially in Japan. Like Japan has revolutionized the technology industry. Like seriously, three-quarters of most of their factories are fully automated factories.
Mhm. Like, I don't know if it's true or not, but like I seen this picture on Facebook that showed in Japan where the road had a big sinkhole, and like 2 weeks later it was fixed. But here in America, we had that. That road was closed for a whole year.
Yeah, yeah. Different culture, different upbringing, different environment, different just set of values. You know,
Exactly.
I've known a lot of Japanese people in my lifetime. Um, they're very, very, very strict in their way of thinking.
Right.
You know, it's very, very, very focused. Um, and they don't, sway from it very often. Once in a great while, you'll have a variation that will come along. But they are pretty much fully an automated system in society. They really are.
It's true.
Even the humans are almost fully automated.
That's sad.
It's
I
the
mean,
truth.
it's getting to the point where the term human interaction is slowly getting running away. I
I
mean,
mean, you're not wrong. Once again, you raise yet another really good point. I just, I don't know. Every time, every time we realize as a people that they are trying to control the way that we are thinking, we rise up against it. We we fight back. We do this and we do that. But what we oftentimes fail to see is that we are the ones who are more oftentimes than not empowering them to have that power over us to begin with.
mhm. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's
You,
just so
you,
fucking
you no longer have to like or accept what a person is about or what a person stands about. You now have a voice, especially in this generation, to lift it up, speak it out, and you will actually get something to happen if that's what you want. But you have
right.
to actually find that voice, a voice that most of us have been taught our entire life we need to suppress because it's not right. It's not part of the status quo. It's not socially acceptable. We just have been taught to just take it and go with it.
Mhm. It's
Mhm.
true.
That is one thing
Uh,
I will say that I do appreciate from the generation that I see before me. Even though most of the time I want to school them in the art of manners, I do
mhm.
appreciate if something is on their mind, they do not hesitate to speak it. So I do very much so appreciate that.
It's true.
What do you
I mean,
think?
it's true. I mean, think about back in the day, you kind of if you see something that's not right or you agree with it, you just like say you've been taught to just the deal with it, and like now if something's not right or if something feels like it's not right, you have 10 to 15 people stand up for that your view. Next thing you know, it turns into thousands and thousands. So now, like your voice can be heard even higher now because this generation is more boisterous about their feelings and beliefs, which is a good thing and a bad thing too. I mean, it's all about how you look at it.
Well, I wasn't so much diving into perspective. I was just more or less diving into your perspective, your own opinion on it, and which I feel like you gave, but also at the same time, I feel, just like what we've been talking about, you kind of hold back a little bit.
You do.
And I get why. But at the same time, we've always prided ourselves on being real on the show, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
I mean, it's true. I mean, there's been some situations where we work at, I felt a certain way about certain things. I think that should be changed, but I don't say anything about it because they don't want to listen to you. So I just keep to myself. I mean, it's a negative attitude to have, but when you see other people do it and they don't get the response out of it, you kind of just be like, no, well, why should I say anything? Because obviously they're not going to listen to them, so why would they listen to me for? So like you use other people's failures as your key, as your motive to go forward. It psychs you out. But then again, to make a change, sometimes you got to step out to make that change.
All right, Michael, I heard you line drop right then. Man in the mirror, make that change. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry, I picked up what you was putting down. All right, we're going to step away for a couple seconds now for a word from our sponsors. We want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We will be right back. As always, thank you for listening to the Big Boy Live podcast.
Oh,
hey.
What's up? Welcome to the Big Boy Live podcast, part 2. Professor X.
Oh man, this has been really fun so far this evening, my friend. It's been it's been far too long. I got multiple complaints this week at the fact that we didn't drop a new episode in the last 2 weeks.
Has it been 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't realize it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, last week you was down in your back and you wasn't feeling good, remember?
Oh yeah, that was rough, man. I tell you, I'm still fighting with that. Not as bad as I was though, man, but it's bad. It was crazy, man. I just it's just like life, dude. Like you think you can do something and then you get a quick reminder that, hey, you can't be doing that stuff like that. I mean, and then it takes a little while. You know how it was back in the day, man, when you was younger. Like you fall and break your leg, and you be back and ready to run the next 2 days. Now you fall, hurt yourself, and you're out for a week.
Oh yeah, it don't matter what it is, especially at this age.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I could cough the wrong way and feel like I freaking broke my sternum.
Man, I done it before, man. I coughed and sneezed at the same time. And my back popping. I was like, oh man, I was like the old man walking. Man, it was crazy.
He said I sneezed and coughed at the same time, and the only thing I heard in my head was "Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home."
I was over trying to find a cane.
Bro, I'm telling you, if anybody understands what you're talking about, man, it's me. Seriously. I got up out of bed today and I almost rolled my ankle, and I was like, what the crap? I was like, I was just putting my feet on the floor. I was like, I looked at my carpet. I was like, why are you trying to fight me right now?
Oh man. I'll tell you something funny today, dude. So we're in church today for Easter Sunday, and the pastor was talking about you need to make sure that you're right with the Lord because He's coming back and all that stuff. If you don't know when you may take your next step, you might fall over dead. Dude, why did I almost trip and fall in church when he said that? Literally, dude, I was just moving sideways and I lost my footing and I almost fell. I said, man, that would have been so bad. He was saying that and I fall over.
Because I tell you what, man, why did that happen? Because I'll tell you what, straight up, legit, honest, I think God has a sense of humor like Kevin Hart. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reason why you did that. So he can sit back and be like,
Gotcha.
you thought, and he can sit back and go, you thought it was your time. Yeah. No, see, what had happened was there was a problem with your checking and your savings. And that's why you almost tripped, because you didn't have that figured out yet.
Man, I saved myself, man, because it was like perfect timing. If I would have fell on the ground and him saying that, oh man, people probably would have been like, yeah, it was bad, bro. It was bad. I was like, oh man, but I survived though.
You were like, the devil's got that one.
Shoot, boy. But you know how it is though, man. Like it seems like it's like life. It's like how he gives you constant reminders on things, and like that's how life is, man. Like sometimes you just get constant reminders that hey, watch it. You're stepping out the box, you know.
Oh, you talking about them natural checks that life has to
Mm-hmm.
keep each one of us in our lane, right?
Oh yeah,
When you start swerving over into the other lane, there's that guardrail that pops up and throws your ass back in the lane you're supposed to be. Yeah,
yeah.
I got you. Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you what. I don't know if that's the way you just exactly said it, or if I just put it into the most perfect metaphorical sense that I could. But bro, that just resonated real deep with me, man. Like
Oh
serious.
yeah. I mean, it's in everything, dude. It's in everything we do, everything in life that we have these little checks. Like banking, overdraft. You know what I'm saying? You try to go out there to play basketball. No, good and well, you ain't played basketball in 10 years. You twist your ankle. Physical. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hit. Life has all these little. One thing about trying to think of what I'm looking for. Signature hit marks to where when you think you're trying to get out of line or get out of the point where you know you should be doing that, it'll hit you. You're like, all right, you're right. You're right. I'm 50 years old. I'm not gonna be crossing nobody over like I used to.
Right. But at the same time, don't sell me short, because if in my mind I think I can do it, then I can still do it.
Right.
Until even up until you prove yourself wrong. I crossed him over. What happened? Oh, I crossed him over. I broke my hip.
Thinking about it, I told someone else. I told somebody else this. I was like, you know what? You need to go with your heart. And we all heard this before. You need to go with your heart because your heart won't lie to you. It's your brain that could tell you the lie. I think that's what the problem is. Sometimes we don't go with that gut feeling or go with our heart on things.
Well, I think oftentimes we screw a lot of things up by putting a sense of thinking into things that are incapable of thinking. The gut, the heart. They are incapable of thinking. What you feel with them is based solely off of emotion alone. And that within is what always causes the conflict, is we take the only thing within ourselves that is capable of thinking, and we try to push into other organs that are in our body that cannot think. We try to push into them thoughts questions, emotions. When the only thing that they're capable of feeling is emotions, because obviously, based off of the higher level of thinking that you have in your brain, it triggers a reflex, which triggers a reflex, which causes your heart and your gut to have those reactions. It
Mm-hmm.
starts in the brain. And a lot of times we sit and we try to rationalize our feelings based off of our logic. And the only way that we as people thus far have been able to seem to comprehend this is by putting our feelings into the fact that that is our heart, and our logic and everything else into the brain section. And so we are literally acknowledging the fact that we are consistently at war with ourselves at all times, the brain against the heart. But the reason that the heart has so much power that it has is because the brain is the one that's given it to begin with. You see what I'm saying? Like, we give so much power to things that if we never gave them the power, would never have the ability to control us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what baffles me so much, man. Because we overcomplicate things that are literally so easy. Let me ask you just a series of 3 questions right now. So, I'm going to ask you something. Where you live, if you don't pay the rent, what happens?
You get kicked out.
So, because you know the outcome, what do?
You pay the rent.
Okay. You walk into the place that you live. You flip a light switch. The lights don't come on. Was it because you missed a payment or because you refused to do it? You want lights on where you're at, so what do?
Pay the bill.
Right. So you pay that bill because 2 of the basic needs in life are what?
Food and shelter.
But electricity is what is dominated the most by, today's society. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be able to stay clean. You got to be able to, do this and do that. So in order to keep yourself clean and practice proper hygiene, you have to have a shower. So when that water bill comes due, do you pay that water bill or do you just simply ignore it and
Mm.
wonder why the water got shut off?
Mm. Yeah, it's true.
So what I'm hearing is you saying 3 times, take care of the things that you have to take care of, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why is that so hard to understand from any other perspective?
Because you put those things first.
We can take care of the things that we know we need to take care of to have the basic necessities of life. But in order to take care of the things that we need to do to be a good friend, take care of the things that we need to do in order to be a good example, take care of the things that we need to do in order to be the best employee that we can be. We're like, don't really matter. But we get offended when the job, life, and reality decides they're going to rear their ugly head and come down on us.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's exactly true. I mean, given so many situations in life that we have to take care of, that we don't take care of, and that we're going to be, you know, in the dark with no control weather, no control temperature. I mean, it's like we're forced. We're forced to live this lifestyle that we want to have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is how it is. We're forced. Now, if we don't want that lifestyle, yeah, we can not pay our bills and then we be out in the streets. But do you really want that? We don't have to.
No, we don't. But if that's the path that we choose and that's what ends up happening, we always just step back. What do? We look for somebody to blame
Mm-hmm.
instead of looking in the mirror at ourselves. We always look for somebody else to point the finger at.
That's true. Sometimes life gives us lessons from other people's failures, but sometimes we're not sensitive enough to see that. I mean, I've learned a
Well,
lot from other people's failures.
that's very true. But you know what? I'm gonna steal a quote from a movie and add one word to it. Life is pretty much, if anybody has ever seen or heard the title of the movie Lemony Snicket's and a series of unfortunate events, life is literally a series of fortunate and unfortunate events.
Right.
That's pretty much all it is. You're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times. If you can't make it through the bad times, you don't deserve the good times. Pretty much is what you learn along the way. You can't just fly on a high all the time. You have to be willing to fall. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to accept failure and use it as a motivator to build yourself up and be better moving forward.
Yeah, that's true. But some people, once they fail, they just give up. They don't see it as a possible stepping stone to a success.
Well, but see, a lot of that goes into, again, what we define as success. What do you define as success? What is personal success for you?
That's a good point. Everybody has their own different views. It's like when you have people that are into the same spot at a job for 50 years because they're satisfied that they're what's what I'm looking for when you're satisfied with something. I have a word for it.
Comfortable?
Yeah, you're comfortable with that situation, so you don't want to change.
Accustomed.
Accustomed to it. Yes.
There you go.
And sometimes it's not even. Sometimes it's one of two things. One, because you're accustomed to it, and it's what you know, what you know, which is easier for you to do, that you know it. Or two, is that your abilities in life keep you at that level. So, I mean,
It's a
it's
very good
it's
point.
I mean, it's every day. We go through this every single day at work. I mean, especially for you as being a team leader, you know good and well you can't have Billy Joe packing on your line when he's been running housings all his life, right? So, because he's satisfied with being in that spot, so he doesn't want to do anything else. So, if you got Susie G that runs one position, but she wants to learn everything else, you're more susceptible to have that person train on that vital position than it is for Billy C. I mean, your ability to change, ability to progress, like I said before, is ultimately up to you.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I, that's extremely well said, extremely well versed. I just think pretty much the exact same thing. I just think we've gotten way too soft for way too long.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that need to stay soft, and there are certain things that need to go back to being, for lack of a better term, um, just because you participate in an event doesn't mean you get a trophy.
Exactly.
That's one of my biggest things. Goes back to what you just said. You learn more from failure than you do.
Right. I mean, that's just how it is. You do learn more. I mean, you do learn more from your failures in life and everything. You just gotta just make sure that you can not let that failures be your ultimate. What's what I'm looking for?
Downfall.
And yes, there you go. Downfall.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I really do. I just think that if we would measure failure the same way that we do success, I think oftentimes, we would find ourselves in a much better place, in a much better state than, sometimes we often find ourselves in.
Right.
Because people don't understand and they don't realize, you learn just as much from failures as you do from success. In fact, I personally believe that you learn more. You know, you've
True.
been, you've been at this point in your life. You don't ever want to reach this point again. So you do whatever you have to elevate yourself above that point. And in doing so, you teach yourself lessons along the way because you know where it's like to be at the lowest point that you have been in your life. So you do everything you can to make sure that you never reach that again.
All right.
You fail. And in that epic failure, you taught yourself how to succeed.
Perfect example. When you're a little kid and you touch a hot stove, you learn right there and there that stove is hot. You don't touch it again.
Right. How many times did mama or grandma tell us, the stove, baby, it's hot. Baby, the stove, baby, don't touch that stove, it's hot. I can remember at least 30 or 40 times I got told that. And then at the age of 5, I decided I was going to touch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you learn right then and there why they said don't touch the stove because it's hot.
And then they look at you like you're short, I told you, did I not tell you not to do that? Yes. Told me not to do it. Okay, then why didn't you listen? Well, I don't know. Well, I know. Because you're too stubborn. You don't listen. We'll all.
That's the problem. It's a problem. We don't want to listen sometimes. You want to keep on. And people are so thick headed and hard headed that they got to keep on touching the stove before you get the point.
Yeah. And unfortunately, even oftentimes then, we never really get it.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't.
That's true. That is true. Like I said, it's part of that thing called life. Either you learn from it or you don't.
No finer words have ever been said So with that, we are going to go to our last commercial break. We're going to come back with our closing thoughts. And we appreciate you guys for being with us on this Easter. Thank you guys for listening.
That's right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the podcast. This is your boy, Big Boy. This podcast is brought to you and sponsored by Terra Jersey Enterprise. Terra Jersey Enterprise will hook you up with some custom shirts. Also, Terra Jersey Photography, capturing your moments of today to make them last for a lifetime. But like I said, this podcast is brought to you by Terra Jersey Enterprise. Arriba la laza.
Buenos noches, señor.
Cool whip. Oh man, that's funny.
We want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. This has been probably the deepest podcast we've had in a minute, man. What do you think?
I mean, it's pretty. I mean, yeah, it's pretty deep, and it was really calm. It was really a calm podcast. It was really an episode that was really just we hit on a lot of points. We hit on a lot of subjects. A lot of just
Yeah, you're right.
personal.
You're right. It was very G rated.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't like there wasn't no excitement there. It was just real life talk. I mean, sometimes you gotta have these wind down sessions to things and just be real and just be like throw it out there. I mean, we hit on a lot of stuff tonight. We hit on a lot of stuff that keeps us holding that we do that keep holding us back every day.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I just think we had one of the most, kind of real life episodes we've had for a moment. Like you, a lot of stuff, very, very calm. Like I said, I was trying to make a joke. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I know it was kind of bad timing, but it was like, hey, yeah, it was a very G-rated podcast. Sometimes we'll get a little higher in those ratings on the podcast, but tonight was a good one, man.
Right, it was. It was a real. It was kind of one of those episodes where you can just relax and just. It's like one of those cigar talks, cigar talk with a little cup of whiskey. You just sit there and relax with your good buddy and just talk.
Yeah,
one of those kind.
Absolutely, bro. That is an absolutely wonderful metaphorical illustration, dude. That's spectacular. Thank you for that, man.
Okay.
That was great, dude. Because see, you know me, okay? So most people that listen to the podcast, they don't know how you and I think and how we process information. And so, without going extremely too deep, because I know you got to get up real early in the morning, I just want to touch on the fact with my closing thought, the fact that I can be so open. Like I can be so transparent. I feel like it's one of the places and the venues where I feel like I can legit be myself.
Right.
And that freeing feeling. And so with my personal closing thought tonight, and I'm just going to let Big Boy talk for the next 10 minutes because I know he's still got a lot on his mind. But with my thought, I'm just going to simply say this. I use the stereotypical Jerry Springer closing line all the time, take care of yourselves and each other. But in all honesty, if you actually say you're going to be there for somebody, man, be there. because you
Exactly.
do not know what they're going through. You do not know if you may be the last kind voice they ever will hear. If you say you're going to do that, do it. If you know you are incapable of doing that, don't say it.
Exactly.
Be the best version of yourself that you can be every day. And honestly, thank you for the platform. Floor is yours, brother.
You know, you said be the best person that you can be every day. Sometimes that's hard for us to do that. Sometimes it's hard for us to be the best person we can every day because because we ourselves don't know who our best person even is to be that best person. So we go off in this feeling and this mental thought that we think we know what we are doing for ourselves and our life, what we're supposed to be, but deep inside we really don't know exactly what the heck we're doing. Are we doing just following the lead of someone else, following the lead of the path, just like how the ants stay in line. Well, if one thing gets in their path, they lose their mind. Hashtag bars. But it's just kind of like how it is. Sometimes you got to step outside the box and do your own thing. Sometimes you got to do what's right for you, you know? And doing what's right for you in your heart and your feelings is not going to always be selfish. It's just sometimes you got to do that sometimes. And sometimes it's hard to think about yourself. I mean, you're so used to think about everyone else and giving to everyone else.
So I hate to interrupt you, but I have to ask a question based off of what you just said. Who is to tell you when is the right time to think for you?
You,
You or somebody else?
you, we sometimes a lot of people here they sit there and wait for someone else to tell them that they're doing something wrong instead of recognizing it's their own self that they're doing something wrong. But then again, too, sometimes we need that accountability partner to tell you, hey man, I noticed something. I know you've been kind of slipping a little bit. Just want to let you know. But like you said earlier in the podcast, the only person that's responsible for you is you. So our key phrase, our key closing thought: be
I
responsible. Be
want to interrupt
responsible.
you. I want to interrupt you again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to interrupt you just to say this. 2 months ago, and I know you remember it. You were one of the ones that read it, and after you read it, it's what started podcast. I posted a post on my Facebook that was basically simply entitled, I got you. Okay. And the only reason I'm saying that, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because that's what I want the basis of the podcast to be tonight. Based off of what he said, based off of what I've said, based off of everything that we have said collectively, just understand that we got you. Like y'all need somebody like we're here. You do not have to go through it alone.
Exactly. You know, one of the motivational speakers I listen to occasionally, he said, write down three names of three people that you know that they will hold you accountable for whatever it is you're trying to strive for. Because you know, if if you don't, if you fail them, then you fail. Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you get right. You ask yourself, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for yourself? Are you doing this for your family? Are you doing this for if you got kids? You try to do something to make a life better for them. Sometimes you gotta write that stuff down. And when you write stuff down on paper, you connect to it more deeply than you do just saying it or typing it into your phone. When you actually pick that pencil up and put it on paper and write, it means more. You get more of a mental attachment to it. Just like when they say when you have a less tendency to spend less money if you pay the cash all the time than it is if you pay for card, because it's less emotional attachment to a card than the actual physical cash.
Okay. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to interrupt you again.
Go ahead, man.
No. Keep going.
Oh, that was it, bro. That was it. That's the that was the main thing, bro.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I just, yes, I wish we would be about ourselves in healthy ways, but I wish even more so that when we said we were going to be about others, we would actually do so.
Exactly.
So do not enter into a commitment that you are not willing to see through to the complete.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Thank you for the time. I love you. I appreciate you, man. Great podcast.
Appreciate you,
Send me
man.
some soon, bro.
Heck yeah.